Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing you guys another fantasy football video. This one should be another fun one, really similar to the last video that went out, but sort of the inverse here. What I've done is I've sort of looked at consensus ADP along with the average pre-draft values associated with all the platforms across the industry. So looking at ESPN, Sleeper, Yahoo, NFL, all of the major platforms, then looking at doing a regression model to see how much you should expect to pay for a player in an auction draft based off of their current ADP. Then from there, what I'm doing is I'm going across each platform and looking at their consensus pre-draft values and comparing them to how much their should cost should be. And then what I'm doing here is I'm compiling a list of which guys are coming out as either great values or bad values on that platform. So last video I went over 5 players that were really great values on the platform. This one I'll be going over 5 players that are not good values on ESPN. I'll be doing the same video for Sleeper as well. Should be a lot of fun. If you guys do want access to the full list, it outlines the best and worst values across all the platforms, just let me know. I'm happy to send you guys the Excel sheet. It's free. Just, if I talk about every player, it's going to take too long. So I picked 5 players here that I think stood out to me. Again, any questions or anything, let me know in the comments, and hopefully you guys find this useful. Let's get into it, guys. So by far, the most obvious bad value on the ESPN platform in auction drafts right now is Davante Adams. This one is just incredibly overpriced right now. So currently, Adams comes in at a $15 overprice on ESPN right now. His pre-draft value comes in at $35 on the ESPN platform, compared to his consensus ADP, where he should be drafted at about a $20 price tag. For reference, the second worst value on the ESPN platform was $10 more expensive than his pre-draft or than his ADP. So Adams is a whole $5 worse than the next worst draft pick. At current cost, just do not draft Davante Adams on ESPN. Especially when you pair this with all the risks associated with the Rams right now. Like, I'm not really super excited to be drafting Davante Adams at his current ADP. And if you're paying full price for him on ESPN right now, you're paying above consensus ADP price tag for a player with a ton of risk associated with him. He's older, on a new team, a lot of risk just generally baked into players like that. And then you pair that with the fact that Stafford could certainly miss a lot of time with the back injury. I'm not interested at all. If you do like Adams at his ADP, his pre-draft value on Sleeper is $22, so I think that's a lot more reasonable, but at the current prices here on ESPN, there's just no way I'm drafting Davante Adams. Next, we've got T. Higgins. Based on his current ADP, you should expect to pay roughly $27 on for T. Higgins, and I understand there's a lot of hype associated with T. Higgins. People are super excited about the Bengals, so typically you'll see people sort of bid up a little bit more than what you should on Higgins, just because, there's excitement surrounding the player, so typically that kind of player, you're going to see a bit of an overpay associated with him. But it's just too far. T. Higgins currently comes in at a $38 price tag, so he was the second worst value on the ESPN platform right behind Davante Adams. He is $34 on Sleeper, so still an overpay on the Sleeper platform as well. I probably won't mention him when I go over the Sleeper players because I don't want to talk about the same player in 2 videos. But, again, with all the hype associated with the Bengals, it's easy to see how in an auction draft you could see players get bid up more than what their pre-draft value should be. So that's not necessarily too surprising, but Higgins at his current price tag, just in his normal snake draft, was already a little bit too pricey for me. Currently being drafted as the wide receiver 12 off boards. Is a player who's never finished with a season-long finish above wide receiver 17. I just can't get behind that. I know the Bengals are super exciting. Higgins on a new contract is going to be great for every game he plays, but the problem is we don't know how many games he's going to play. The worst part about T. Higgins is that he will go out there on a week where he's questionable, play 2 or 3 snaps, and just give you a goose, and that's going to really sink you a couple weeks over the course of the year. So Higgins is a player that I need to be like a mid-tier wide receiver 2 for me to consider drafting him in general. Paying as a wide receiver 12 price tag is too much for me, and then on ESPN you're paying $10 more than that. So I'm out on Higgins at his current price tag, especially on ESPN. Next up, we got one that really makes me kind of sad, but Trey McBride is currently the most overpriced tight end on the ESPN platform. Based off of his current ADP, going right around pick 20 to 24, depending on which platform you're looking at, he should cost roughly $40 based on his ADP, so not exactly a cheap player by any means, but on ESPN he comes in at a $50 price tag. Sleeper, a lot more reasonable. He's $41 on Sleeper, so if you want to draft him on Sleeper, I think that's certainly reasonable, but on ESPN it's a little bit pricey. I don't want to say take him off your board on the ESPN platform, though. This is a guy that could clearly finish the season as the tight end 1. There's honestly a path for him to lap the field at that position. Like, last year he was a top 3 tight end and just couldn't find the end zone. I don't think there's any reason why McBride can't be a touchdown scorer in the NFL. So if McBride came out and had a 10-touchdown season, you could see him be a guy that absolutely laps the field at the position. So don't take McBride off your board, especially because I think you might see him go a little bit below that $50 price tag. But at $50, just understand that you are paying beyond that expected value for the kind of player you're getting there. So just understand that if you do that, you are overpaying for him. But again, he's good enough. I like him enough that I'm not saying take him off your board like I am necessarily with like Adams and Higgins. But just understand that you are paying a little bit too much for Trey McBride if you draft him on ESPN right now. Next up, we got to mention Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, his ADP is all over the place, right? There's going to be a lot of fluctuation, even just across platform. Like, ask one guy, he might have Christian McCaffrey as his running back one. Ask another guy, he might be just completely off his board. So you're going to see a lot of variation across leagues based off of how much Christian McCaffrey ends up going for. But based off of his consensus ADP right now, you should be spending roughly $53 in an auction draft on him. And again, I understand he's one of the toughest players to rank. We expect there to be a very, very wide range here, but on ESPN, he costs you $63, so he's a $10 overpay there. On Sleeper, he costs you $44, so I might have to mention him in the Sleeper video. We'll see if I want to talk about the same player twice, but on Sleeper, he's a great value. If you want Christian McCaffrey, Sleeper is absolutely the platform to do that on, but if you want to draft him on ESPN, you're overpaying for a player that I already feel like has a ton of risk associated with him. You don't have to really talk too long to convince someone there's a lot of risk associated with McCaffrey. Missing significant time in 3 of the last 5 seasons, has been a guy that sort of just kills you. If you drafted Christian McCaffrey last year, you probably didn't do very well in your fantasy league. So there's obviously a lot of risk associated with him. He's an older player coming off a lot of injuries. I personally don't feel comfortable with him as my first round draft pick. And based on his current ADP, that's what you're paying for. And now you're overpaying beyond that on the ESPN platform. So if you're going to draft McCaffrey, I don't mind it on Sleeper. But on ESPN right now at his current ADP, with the inflated price tag in auction, I don't see myself drafting McCaffrey in very many auction drafts on ESPN this season. And last, we've got one quarterback on this list. I wanted to highlight the most overpriced quarterback on ESPN. Jalen Herz is currently the quarterback 5 by consensus ADP. That actually feels low for me. I would personally have him as my quarterback 4 ahead of Joe Burrow, just adding in the mobility, the rushing touchdown upside. I think he's a lot safer of a draft pick. But that being said, based off of his current ADP, you should be spending roughly $23 on Jalen Hurts, and that feels like a good price tag. But on ESPN, you're paying $31, so he's by far the most overpriced quarterback on the platform. He's the lowest drafted of the 5 quarterbacks, and he's still right up there in price. So I don't necessarily love that. Again, I kind of think it's fair to say there's a tier 1 of quarterback, so I can see why that price tag has sort of come out the way it is. But if you're going to pay the same exact amount for Jalen Hurts as you are for Josh Allen on that platform, might as well just draft Josh Allen or whichever quarterback you have as the number 1 there. So I still think it's a pretty safe pick, but I just think you're not necessarily getting a great value there, and especially on ESPN, I think I'd prefer to look elsewhere at quarterback if I can. Again, not off my board, but just a little bit, something to make note of for sure. You are paying a premium to draft Jalen Hurts if you're doing it on ESPN this season. So that'll do it for the worst values on ESPN and auction drafts this season. The next video I'll be doing for you guys, very similar to the previous 2. I'll be going over the best values on the Sleeper platform, and then I will follow that up with a worst values video on the Sleeper platform as well. Hopefully you guys find these useful. I think it's really important to understand how the platform you're drafting on can really influence the actual results of your draft, even though we're all drafting from the same pool of players with the same scoring formats. Just whichever platform you're drafting on is certainly going to dictate how the draft goes, at least in some capacity. And understanding that and being able to take advantage of that, I found has been a really nice edge for me to have in drafts every single season. I find these to be super useful. It's one of the tools I get asked about the most often by all of you guys. So hopefully you guys find this useful. Again, if you want the full spreadsheet outlining expected costs, how much people are going for on each platform, just let me know. I'm happy to email that to you guys. It's available for free. I'm just here to help you guys out, so I'm not expecting anything there. Just want to help you guys out. Let me know. I'll be happy to get that for you guys. If you haven't already, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. That's the best way you guys can support me. Almost at 1,600 subscribers right now. I've got sort of a goal of hitting 2,500 by the end of the regular season. Kind of a lofty goal, hoping to almost double there. So we'll see if we get there, but it's a fun goal for me. It's been a milestone, like sort of the next milestone after 1,000 that I've been looking to hit. So that would be really great if you could help me out there. Again, it's going to be 3 to 4 videos every single week. Tons of content coming up. I'm going to be here all season long to help you guys out. And I think if you stick around, we'll have a lot of fun. We'll win some championships together and hopefully have a great time. So yeah, really appreciate you guys. If you made it this far, give the video a thumbs up, and I will catch you guys with the next one. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.